So let's talk about the Warhammer 40k narrative developments from Arks of Omen Farsight, where it seems there's a battle raging for the soul of the commander of the Enclaves, with Farsight being tempted by Khorne and unleashing a wave of demons upon his enemies. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where today I thought we'd do a quick breakdown of the lore of Arks of Omen Farsight, the latest instalment in Games Workshop's Arks of Omen series, where we've got the ongoing narrative of Vashtor and Abaddon cooking up a plot, and there's ultimately going to wind up being a showdown between Angron and the Lion at its climax. Today I just thought we'd go through the major narrative strokes of Book 4, and what Commander Farsight is up to in his battle against Chaos and Orcs. So far, for a quick recap of the series, the Chaos are on the lookout for a bunch of key fragments to build a mysterious super weapon, with Abaddon and Vashtor cooking up the plot for that. Their lieutenants have been dispatched in Great Arks of Omen to retrieve these key fragments, and then the ensuing two books have been the story for battles for a couple of notable ones: Angron breaking an Imperial stronghold, Vashtor receiving the key fragment within, and an entire murder plague descending on that sector of the Imperium due to the sacrifice to Khorne. The Vashtor book was the story of him attempting to wrest a key fragment from the rock. Generally, when things were going pretty well for him, he was thwarted by the actions of Be'lakor to stop him getting too far ahead in the great game, though it has set up for a second round of the fight between the Dark Angels and the forces of Chaos. I guess that's going to be paid off in Book 5. Book 4 is this one in Farsight, and Book 5 is confirmed to be the Lion, so who knows which Primarchs might return in that one. Commander Farsight is the Tau renegade commander of the Farsight Enclaves. His general story is that he was a great leader of the Tau Empire who found a relic sword on the dead world of Arthas Moloch. This weapon was thought to be a chaos weapon that brings both long life to him and also freedom from the mysterious control of the Ethereals. Following that, he broke away from the Tau Empire and established an independent string of fortified worlds known as the Farsight Enclaves on the fringe of the Damocles Gulf. To go with his shiny new model, his battlesuit has taken a bit of an upgrade. He's now got an onboard AI called Supernova, a voice that talks to him and he can have conversations with. He leads a team of commanders, including a Riptide and a Broadside, known as the Eight, and currently he's engaged in fighting the Waaagh of Dakka against war boss Nazdreg, the Orc who masterminded the teleport assault on Armageddon. The action starts with Farsight fighting against the Orcs. The Orcs are engaged in having a lot of fun with the Waaagh of Dakka. The Bad Moons really like their shooters, and in the Waaagh of Dakka, the Orcs got so annoyed at the Tau shooting them dead before they got into crumping range that the Orcs decided just to loot a whole bunch of Tau tech and try and outshoot the Tau 1-for-1. With the combination of looted Tau tech and the maniac brains of Orc mechs, it seems to have been a surprisingly effective strategy. Farsight assumes command and drives the Orcs back on the planet of Werborg. They have some good success in the fighting on the planet, and the Orcs are driven back, though they do discover an Orky plan to build an enormous planet-destroying teleport gun that the Orcs believe will be strong enough to destroy entire worlds of the Farsight Enclaves and bring the Waaagh of Dakka to a spectacular conclusion. During the fighting, Farsight encounters an Orc weird boy. Being exposed to the psychic energy gives Farsight a disturbing vision. He sees himself being corrupted by chaos, adorned with skulls and wielding a great axe, cutting through his enemies in swathes of blood. This vision seems to be the first of many, as he continues to be plagued by dark visions like this for much of the narrative. I guess that Dawnblade might be starting to get the better of him. Following this battle, the Tau pursue the Orcs further, personally leading an assault on the Orc planet of Dregrock. He breaks the Orc forces and cuts through the Greenskins, destroying Nazdreg's teleporting battle wagon, presuming him dead. The whole thing destroyed in a teleport energy explosion. I guess without an 100% confirmed kill, it seems unlikely that he'll actually wind up being dead. I feel like he's about one of the biggest Orc characters that doesn't have a model yet, and I guess we'll see him again at some stage. For the most part, the Tau come through it quite well, but the AI battlesuit Oblatai is critically damaged. As the Tau are preparing to turn their initial victory into a rout, an Ark of Omen shows up in the system called the Unhallowed. This one is commanded by the Demon Prince Ogalax of the Black Legion, and it seems that he's been mentioned in the Arks of Omen series before, retrieving a key fragment from within Cadian lines. I believe that was in the first book, and his forces are mainly Black Legion, also supported by some Night Lords. These guys are looking for another key fragment, wouldn't you know it? It seems that one of them is buried on the dead world of Arthas Moloch, and Alpha Legion disguised as Death Watch are monitoring the Tau. Perhaps now they're otherwise engaged is a good time to go and get it. This perhaps doesn't work out amazingly well for them, as Farsight, on seeing the Chaos battle fleet arrive, realizes that they're not going to be able to overcome both the Chaos and the Orcs, and needs to try and draw the two into conflict against each other, and to do that he decides to go stealth mode, retreating to the very planet of Arthas Moloch, and fight a guerrilla warfare against the two forces as they're pursued. The history of the planet is that it's a dead world that was previously inhabited by twisted chaos cults, originally settled by the Alpha Legion. These cults were purged by Space Marines later, before the Tau ever found it, though when they made planetfall they were set upon by strange red-skinned aliens, which were heavily implied to be demons of Khorne. These demons had spawned from an area known as the Great Star Days to the Tau, and from the planet they'd acquired a whole bunch of hexagrammatic wards, one of the few weapons that the Tau have to ward off against the ruinous powers of Chaos. The Tau retreat to the planet to lure the Orcs and Chaos who pursue them there, and Farsight dispatches a message to the Tau Empire itself, offering them his own surrender if they will come and help save the worlds of the Enclaves from the encroaching threat. The Orcs and Chaos make planetfall, and there's a whole bunch of fighting. The Tau fight a rearguard around the area of the Great Star Days. Commander Brightsword, one of the more notable members of the Eight, is killed, and Bravestorm is wounded. Unfortunately, when word does get back from the Tau Empire, the Ethereals aren't particularly helpful. Word returns from the Tau Empire that no reinforcements will be coming, and they're basically just happy for the renegade commander to fight and die all on his own. I'm not sure that was the most productive decision for them in the world, if this could have been an option for them to retake the Enclaves and the Tau Empire's control over them. With no reinforcements coming, Farsight is left only with a desperate plan. He plans to withdraw and lure the enemy to the Star Days and unleash an eldritch horror upon them. While they're falling back towards the days, Tau Pathfinders and Scouts find a wrecked Dark Angel's craft while falling back. It seems to be a mysterious and ancient wreck from around 10,000 years ago, wouldn't you know it? They flag its location but are unable to investigate further, but do notice an odd crystalline mass that appears to have grown out of the transport since it crashed. The monitoring Alpha Legion disguised as Death Watch hack the Tau transmissions and go down to the planet's surface, retrieve what they are looking for, a big fragment of the key, and depart the battle towards the warp portal of the Unhallowed, claiming another fragment for Vashtor, and the primary objective of Chaos is achieved. Falling back, the fighting reaches the vast expanse of the Great Star Days. Orcs, Chaos, and Tau fight and kill each other, driven to unnatural rage to hack and tear into the flesh of the foe. Spilled blood coats the surface, and a great power stirs. Farsight essentially coordinates a great big Khornate demon incursion. The summoned demons attack everything inside, Orcs, Tau, or other Chaos, cutting a great swathe through the forces, and Farsight himself gets to the very brink, becoming increasingly blood mad and more overpowered by the Khornate energies in a particularly strong flow. He does manage to pull himself back from the very brink though, thinking back to the teachings of Commander Puretide, and perhaps also aided by his hexagrammatic talisman that he bears on his battlesuit, and manages to regain control before he descends to Chaos utterly. He manages to stick to their original plan, retreating amidst the carnage and being rescued by an extraction fleet to regroup as the other three forces battle for control. When it becomes apparent that their objectives are met, the Chaos forces withdraw, and Orcs fight and overcome the demons, aided by Weird Boy support. Overall, it seems to be a greenskin victory on Arthas Moloch, though the fighting has greatly reduced the greenskin numbers, and it perhaps sounds like they're not going to be the hardest to retake the planet from, with their boss gone. With the demons purged and cast back into the warp, the Star Days itself shatters, and the planet slowly starts to return to life. It seems that Arthas Moloch is a dead world no more. Overall, for the story, I think it's quite a fun one, though I would say that it's pretty much entirely independent, not really a big deal within the main Arks of Omen's plot. That does seem to have been the theme of the last three, to be honest. I had kind of hoped that there might have been a bit more set up in terms of things that are majorly going to drive the last one. In terms of the central premise, though, of Abaddon and Vashtor retrieving key bits, we're still pretty much as we were before. They seem to have got all of them besides that one that they wanted on the rock. We still don't have any idea what they're going to do, but certainly with that crashed Dark Angels plane, it seems at least possible that that could be partly setting up for the Lion's return. I guess it's not entirely impossible that the Lion himself might have been on that very crashed ship. I'm sure all will be revealed at a later date. I still think as 40k lore goes, it's not the worst to dig into a proper Xenos-focused storyline, Tau vs Orcs with a side of Chaos, and it does fit in rather well with the 4 tarot cards that we expected for this book, the Horde being the Orcs, the Young Warrior being Farsight. I guess you could see the Fool either as the Tau Empire for not supporting them, or Farsight for playing with demons maybe, and getting a lot of Tau killed, and I guess the Tree of Life represents Arthas Morlock no longer being a dead world, though how much that really matters I'm not really sure. Finally, one interesting thing that I did have as a question would be whether or not Snickrot would feature in the book. We are getting his model at the same time as Farsight after all, but it seems that Games Workshop haven't included him in this narrative, even if they had mentioned in their community post that he'd been sneaking around some Arks of Omen. Might be appearing in one of the side stories, perhaps from White Dwarf or something, but doesn't seem like he's in this one. Anyway, let me know what you think. Maybe not the most ground-shaking developments in the world, but I feel like digging into a possible Cornate's Tau storyline is pretty unusual, and you don't see that too often. If you've enjoyed the video and would like to see more like this, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, where I'll certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming, with new ones out just about every day. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel and you'd like to help support, I would just like to quickly mention the channel's Patreon page, which you can find linked in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.